So to go a little bit into that, into more depth, we see here a lot of people heard me using this name Panagopoulos, and so I just thought I reference him here, and so that you also can see him. So he has made the most scientific papers about this and published a lot of papers on this, and it's coming, as you can see, from the University of Athens Department of Biology for Radiation and Environmental Biophysics Research Center. So this is basically the guys which really understand what we're talking about, because really when we're speaking with scientists about EMF, you should talk to people which have studied biophysics. And that's why we also took a biophysics PhD on board, Dr. Mühsam, which is also since the 90s very leading in this field, and which is joining us on this path, and which is helping our research work here. So to give you a little bit of an explanation what Panagopoulos has found is, so like we just said in the first page here before, we have the man-made EMFs and the natural EMFs. So we are here already, you know, like 7-8 billion years according to the history as us humans, and we are used to having sun, to having a magnetic field here on the earth, to having to have natural EMFs in a very low frequency, and they are all non-polarizing EMFs which we are exposed to. And now in the last 100 years, more and more of the EMFs are starting to be produced and invented, which we are not used, which we are using for communication mostly. So, and this effect we are still starting to only study now, and we're also starting only in the years of 2000 about to starting long-term studies for this man-made EMFs. So what Panagopoulos did is he was taking the radiation of polarized radiation, and he was also using unpolarized radiation and treating, for instance, mice with them, and he was seeing, okay, the effects from the man-made EMFs are decreasing the biological health of the mice, versus if you're using an unpolarized radiation, the effects are not having biological effects. And then he was also presenting more studies which are showing that if you are taking a radio wave and you're taking, for instance, a glucose water solution, and you're passing this radio wave through this liquid, that you're starting to unpolarize the radiation, and that it's becoming in a more natural state again, and that after that the effects for biologic organisms are more natural and less harmful. So this is about a summary of what the studies from Panagopoulos show. You should basically depolarize EMFs. You should make them into a more natural state again, and then they have less harmful effects. So this is what he has been studying, and I have also put here a picture on the right how such a study can look like. Okay, you're basically having a receiving antenna and a broadcasting antenna, and if you're putting in the middle of that some liquids, you can depolarize those EMFs. This principle, which basically is laid out here by the university papers of Athens, is something which we are following also with the key technology and waveguard. We are having also liquids inside our devices, and they are interacting with the radio waves which are passing through the room, and therefore there we are seeing from a sensor point of view that they are being depolarized. And also, just like in the same way, like Panagopoulos has shown, that after they are being depolarized, that they are not anymore as harmful as those radiations which are inside the room. And so this is what we have been studying, and what we'll also look into it when we come to the studies. Okay, so this was one of the field strength depolarization studies which we have done with a TUV. TUV is one of the biggest technical institutes in the world with over 100,000 employees, and they have a pretty good reputation. And what we're doing here is we're measuring the depolarization. And again, here on the picture on the left, we are seeing the broadcasting and the receiving antenna. And you're seeing one of our home units. And what we can see here on the right side of the charts is that there's a depolarization effect happening, because we have the violet line, which is showing the calibration line, and then after the unit has been placed there, the blue line is happening, which is showing just a reduction in the actual field strength, which is already making the claim possible that we are reducing field strength. Just by a normal point of view of the government side and of the you know, basically the mobile phone lobby, the lower the field strength inside your room is, the less field strength you're exposed to, the less radiation you're exposed to, and the less health risk you're gonna have to expect. So when you're sleeping, when you're trying to get into a rest state, it's the persons, and we are all interested in having as less field strength exposed to us as possible. So therefore, we should still turn our Wi-Fi off at night. We should turn our cell phones off into the flight mode, and can take some preventions of having, especially in the bedroom, as little as possible radiation or field strength there. And so what we're seeing here is that a field strength is being reduced, and this is what the TUV has found, and therefore also, just by the definition of European laws, the key devices are a radiation protection device. What we have also done in the studies is this experiment. So we have gone a bit further than what Panagopoulos has shown, and we have gone off axis. So we have placed the unit outside of the axis of not the radio wave passing through the device immediately, but actually the device is just being near to the radio wave. And what we're seeing is that there's still depolarization effects happening even if the device is off axis. Of course, when you are passing the radio wave directly through the device, the depolarization effect is still the strongest.